Hey, everybody. Here we are back. So, first, we're going to take a look at this little film I made about DEI. What is DEI? Let's go and figure this out because it sounds like something you don't want to have. Let's find out. Again, I want to thank the Santa Barbara High School Band for lending me this edition of Wicked. I had a chance to play drums with them. So it's an original piece of music here, but Wicked sure can have a little bit of voodoo. We are not going back, but we all need the same things, you see. So the American way, the American Tao. Who out there knows what I'm talking about when I say Tao? The Tao. Chicken, dick liquor, dictator. I might get stuck on that one picture because we have DEI is the American way. Diversity, equality, inclusion. Of course it is. I mean, when I was thinking about DEI, I was thinking about the folks who created that possibility in this country to make this happen and how they worked so hard to name it in such a way so it wouldn't offend anybody. Okay, but we'll talk about this in a second. There's no other way. You gotta go into the way. Okay, so if you understand the word Tao, and Tao and the way are the same, the American way is the American Tao. Now, the Tao of the Chinese people is the way to what? And that means the Russian folks too, okay? Because everybody is in the way. We're going the way. Like this whole planet is just going the way. Like you can't stop the way forward. There's only one direction. That's forward. So Kamala's going to take out Kamala. Sorry. Kamala is going to take out the trash, the MAGA trash. We're going to get a blue tsunami because I said so. And we're going to clean out MAGA everywhere we can find it. We're just going to get rid of all that stuff. It's not going to work for us. We need more inclusion, not less inclusion. We need more rights, not less rights. We need to go forward, not no chicken dictators. Ignore the childish man. We have to ignore the childish man. It's kind of what you would do if you've been a parent. I've been a parent 3 times. I'm still a parent. Three folks who are growing up now and no longer need my day-to-day stuff. But anyway, so we're moving forward, not going backward. What I was saying is when you have a person, so well, it's about this thing about being ignored. So being ignored can be really painful because I know what that's about right now. I have a feeling like somehow I'm ignored in certain things that I'm trying to accelerate in, and I just don't feel like I'm getting some recognition, or they're not saying the words that I need to hear. So I have the audacity. Today in church, we were talking about audacity as the primary motivator, and to have the audacity to step up and go against the grain is kind of what it's about. Now, in this case, DEI. And then come to understand, I'm not quite sure because there's 2 words that, you see, diversity, equality, or equity. Now, what's the difference between equality and equity? Inclusion. So what we want to do today, I would love it if we could come up with a new way of scrambling those letters around in kind of a scramble to come up with a new acronym to discuss and that includes 2 E's. So how would it be? Edie, Eddie, Eddie-I, EDI, IDI, IDI, ID, ID. Oh, IDEE would be good. ID would be inclusion, diversity, equity, and equality. Now, see, equity, the word equity usually comes down to money. It comes down to money. Equality comes down to sex and gender, right? So diversity, well, everyone is the same, but everyone is different at the same time. How is that possible? Hmm. Well, that's what happens. I don't know how to explain it, but we are all in this together. See, now the diversity inclusion part of it comes back to this inclusion. Like you cannot be excluded from the all of the mind and the mental universe. You're in it. You're in it to win it. You're in it all the way. Hmm. So if one thing is true, remember what Lincoln said, if one thing is true for one person, then it's true for the same for all people. And if a black person bleeds red blood and a white person bleeds red blood, then guess what? Everybody has red blood. So there's all, it just, that's the connection point. And so here we are, and we want to really talk about, think about, so diversion, let's see, diversity. See, diversity is probably the least important word in that whole thing, even though it starts the process. So we got to go back and think again. How did the people who came up with this plan, diversity, equity, equality, and inclusion? I mean, those are the four words. Now, I've been in these think tanks at Arts Center College of Design where we sit down and we just kind of hammer out. I really like those places, the best. How do we find the word or the way to express this to get the most attention? And I'm not good at it. I'm not any advertising magnate. I am not the guy from Mad Men. I want to be that guy, John Hamm. Sure, who doesn't want to be like that? But I can pretend. So how would John Hamm handle this, the selling of diversity, equity, and inclusion? But mostly it's diversity, equality, and equity. Those are the three elements that really are, or inclusion, equity, and diversity. No, inclusion, equity, and equality. Equality, now you would think in a modern society that we would understand that equality was a given, that all men and women are created equal under the law, under the eyes of our creator. Hmm? God does not love, if there is such a thing, creator, the universe, the ultimate love, the love of the all, cannot pick and choose. It's all part of the great thing, right? I mean, every part of it is just another great aspect of it. All the good and the bad and the ugly is part of the whole picture. Like you cannot, if you don't know what that is, if you have no idea what this picture is talking about, do you have any idea if you don't know what that looks like? For me, of course, I can only see Abraham Lincoln. But here's the thing, when you come up a little closer on that thing, it is actually a portrait of a beautiful woman naked from the back of his muse that he painted this woman, 1,000 different ways. But that's the point. You have no idea what you're seeing until you get a real close look at it. And that's why we want to take apart DEI. It's not a bad thing at all. In fact, it's basically a reassertion. They cloaked it very carefully not to get too deep in the fact that we are all in this together. We're all diverse people. Everyone has their own individual talent and something you got to bring to the table. Mm-hmm. Next one was equality. Is there any real difference? Now, here is the real difference, friends. Men and women are not the same. Women are far superior to the male spectrum of the gender in almost every single way. There's not a woman who can't do a job that a man can do and have children and be able to take care of them and be able to tuck them in at home and be able to give them the love they need and be able to go. I mean, have I made my point about 100? I mean, a dude, a guy is required to go and bring home money or food or something to eat or do some just one small thing so we can keep going while the woman is doing all the other work. So anyway, the women side of the spectrum is a way more difficult side of the spectrum. I'm giving it 120% to start. So men get 100%. Best thing you can do. Women start at 120%. And then when you start at 120%, you end up getting hundreds of percent back in return. Like that's what happens in building. I've been doing this in my building experience at WholEarth game.org. You can see, you can get my book, and then there you can email me and, you know, maybe perhaps get a one-on-one with me about how we might be able to make your next project the most efficient, energy efficient project. Mostly it starts with wanting to do it. And then it starts about knowing how to get it done, like how to know. And I just happen to know I have this incredible encyclopedic memory of everything I've ever seen that can help us save energy and save the planet, which is what I do. And so learn from me, and then you will have a better result. Now, what's the next thing? I want to ask for Renee before we say goodnight, because this is just a quick little checkup for the end of the week. And I want to say, hello, Renee. How are you? And thank you for coming to church with me. What was your reaction to coming to Black Church today?
Oh, it was amazing. And we have the website up here. If anyone wants to learn more about David Moore, go to davidnmoore.com. Oh my gosh. So this guy, first of all, he has the calmest, most beautiful voice I've ever heard. I spoke to him on the phone when you recommended and introduced us. And I was tearing up when I heard his voice. And so I was excited to see him today. I told him it was an honor that I would be able to live stream from his church. And he was so kind. And I loved how he talked about nationalism, because you guys were watching a video of a Kenyan singer, and David was really clear about this fanaticism is not just an American epidemic, that
This
it's
is
also in
Christian
Kenya.
nationalism. Now, the Christian nationalism, which is
Right.
not, this is another name for Nazi. But go ahead.
Right, right. Thank you for clarifying. Exactly. And David, if you go to his website, like I said, if you go to his website, you're going to hear all about his journey. You're going to see all about his journey. He's inclusive. So he dreams of a one world family. So this dovetails perfectly with what you're doing and this togetherness and us being together and not being at war all of the time and not being divisive. So David is sort of trying to bring everyone together. You showed me the
Well,
flag. There's a flag when you walk in the front door that you sent me a picture of. And it's this beautiful flag basically saying, I forget the phrase, but it's like, we're all in this together. Everybody's welcome. Everybody's drawn.
well, that's the
Um,
Unitarian Congregational Church
right,
upstairs. That's the white church that
right.
goes upstairs, and they are. I mean, honestly, that what they had today was choir practice, and they doing the same thing that I grew up in that Presbyterian church, and I almost, I go cringeworthy because the music is just so darn boring. Yeah, you know, there's nothing more funny with a Presbyterian than a grin. That's what that's what Mark Twain used to say. A Presbyterian with a grin because we're so dry. But so anyway, we're downstairs. We go once a month there to meet, and most of our stuff is online, evidently, and we're really juggernauting around in the cyberspace area, which is why Renee is, I've invited you to come see this operation too. And you saw today we're no more together than any other, ragtag situation. Looks a lot like KPFK, I'm guessing. Oscar,
Yeah, it is.
our guest of honor, they just simply forgot. Like that's, and I said that's kind of silly because, I think that you had reached out to him.
Mhm. Yeah.
But you know how funny things are in California. People just forget. We're just so trippy.
It's very
Um,
relaxed. It's a very
very
casual
relaxed.
state.
That's right.
Yeah.
So now, where can they find a place to go look at church?
So, do you mean, David's website, or do you mean
The recording we made today. Did you put it up yet?
Yeah, so what they need to do is they need to go up to YouTube. They can go to the YouTube station that they're watching this on right now,
Is that
exactly
the
where they're watching. They can go on Twitter as well. They can go at Cosmos TV on
That's right.
Twitter.
That's
We
right.
are now on Twitter, so that's great. And they can also go to Twitch. So wherever you're viewing this right now, you guys can keep tuning in and check it out. And then we make clips, and that's another great thing too that we've been doing a lot is I want to really promote at One Whole Earth Game on TikTok, which you've been killing it. Your content is so it performs
At one
better than
whole game,
91.
gotta go figure this out. I still don't even know how to go see my stuff
Oh
because
gosh,
I needed you. I need Renee to tell to really show my work to the world because without this kind of agency, I can't show what I'm talking about. So
well,
what we're
it's
about, go right ahead.
yeah, so if anyone heads over there to the TikTok, they're going to see all kinds of stuff. We pull all kinds of stuff over there, but one of the things we've been doing is posting the audio of some of the stuff David sings. So the thing about David is he's a singer. He also calls himself a communicator. He's of course a pastor. And the thing is his voice is so beautiful, so beautiful, so beautiful. So
Really,
we've been posting
I
clips.
can't
If
wait to hear that.
anybody,
I'm just so excited.
yeah, and you don't have to be into gospel music to really vibe with this. I mean, honestly, a lot of people might not be introduced to I encourage anyone, no matter where you stand, no matter what your spiritual progress is, just go and enjoy it as art, if
Well,
nothing
that's
else.
the thing, because what they were doing upstairs was that whole thing with the choir and the ladies and and
Yeah.
it just sounds like, oh man, I get like a little PTSD about stuff like this because I was always the kid in the back, like tapping on my leg. I wanted to play
Right.
music, so now I get to play music with David, and I can be the drummer and be the guy, and he and I are just in such sync. I mean, we had just a wonderful communication today, and I just watch his foot, I watch his body
Yeah.
rhythm. I still struggle. I struggle with my own as started the show with finding recognition for the things I do and not,
Mhm.
I don't know. My 5-year-old still wants to say, "Look at me, look at me, look at me, look what I'm doing."
Right.
My old person, so I had to step up for myself a little today. I didn't, but it's like it feels so. Like I don't know. California people are so baffling. I don't get it. They never say one nice thing. You have to literally. I'm like I said, David, I'm leaving now. Here, let me shake your hand. Oh, here. Okay, Roy, I'm shaking your hand now. We're going to shake. I'm leaving. I'm leaving. Shaking your hand now. Thank you for the day. So I said my words. They were positive words. I don't even know. They were like, that guy's weird.
But it's like it's very wholesome though and soulful. When the music was going, because I was there for the music and running the show, and I was watching you guys, and I was listening to the music, and I just sort of there's such a cohesion there with the music, and it's spiritual and it's soulful. But again, it's something you would listen to on the radio. Like I said, if anyone's an atheist, they could still get something out of this
Oh, I
experience.
hope you're atheist. Be atheist. You know what? Okay, well, so this is the thing. Let's go. That's great that you brought that up because everybody's welcome, and there's always room for a little bit more, and diversity is what we're talking about. Being atheist. Okay, but here's the thing. Try if you are atheistic, try to get out of the all. Just do the mental thing. If you can imagine that picture looks like anything like Abraham Lincoln, then you're in the game of imagination. Okay. So if you can't, if you just cannot see anything past it, as you just have no reference, then you may be struggling with this malady of imagination. Because when you start to that's it. You flip into imagination. Now you're in another dimension entirely. Now we get busy with the Trace Magistus part. how to change this from our own pursuit to to helping other people. And that's where it gets really fun, because once we understand that we are just in this all together, and we have to go. I mean, there's no getting out of this. You cannot do this there's no such thing as alone. They're just, it's in your mind that you can have that. But the reality is such that, it's eternal life. And tell me I'm wrong. I mean, we can disagree, and people disagreeing. And well, that was remember the story today in church was faith. Do you have it
Yep.
or not?
Faith.
Okay.
Right.
And then it came down to, you have to know that when we're not looking, after we're completely wiped out here, there's a whole pole shift that goes on. The mountains do a flip. They
Yep.
go in real time doing some backflips and side gathers, and there's water flowing all over this place. It's pretty chaotic. And then there's an ice age that is really chaotic, and it's gripping, and it also grips everything
Right.
back in a ball. And then we emerge from this ice age to another clean planet ready for a new game for the next 13,000 years, right?
Right.
I mean,
Exactly.
now, then you start to think the people who are building this megalithic architecture knew that was happening, and they built for that reason. Now, that's
Mhm.
real faith, knowing that the mountain was going to move and still building architecture designed not to move.
Right. There you go.
I mean, it's crazy. And then we're the only people here, right? We've talked about 760 times in the last million years.
Mhm.
Okay, in the last what the next one would be billion years, a billion years, 760,000 potential lifetimes.
Right.
How many lifetimes?
People say,
Now,
"What?"
that's what I was trying to tell my friend. And then this time you got the brochure to say, you want to go to, this really cool little place called Earth.
Mm.
Did you want to take the medieval trip, or do you want to do the Genghis Khan version, or do you want to do the right before we blow up into a mini nova version? And then you got to remember that you signed up for the one right before the mini nova version. No, not me. You did it. Okay, you did it. You see, all you take responsibility for yourself, and remember that you signed up to be here now. Don't fuck it up.
Be here now, which reminds me of Ram Dass. Of course, be here now. But
Well, where do you think you got that? You think that was some Ram Dass, original?
exclusive. Yeah, it's not an original. It's not an exclusive. Yeah.
Now, he would have told you it was, and you would have paid some money to go hear him say it, and he would have
Mm.
said, you would have thought that you heard it from Ram Dass, like that was the first guy to say that. He didn't see. I'm obsessed with this thing about making sure that, like, Thoth gets the credit.
Mhm. Right.
When I hear a story of Jesus becoming Thoth, I remember Thoth gets the credit. See, Jesus became Thoth, right? Now he's Trismegistus. Like, we can all do this. Like, it's not a big thing. We can all, like, that's what we're here. That is the gospel of the good news, right? The word of the good news is that we are all in this together, and that we all have a chance to move forward. And it starts with you and me, Renee.
Starts with you and me. That's right. That's why we're here. We're
Starts with
getting the
you, Renee.
message out.
You and I are doing it. So thank
We're
you for
doing it.
spending the last 24 minutes with us. We'd like to keep these, I think a weekly, right? The weekly 7:14, 8:14, 7:14
Mhm.
somewhere.
It's
And
always 7:14 somewhere. That's right.
someplace,
Somewhere on Earth.
and then this is 7:14 weekend. So what we had, well, the quick thing we had, of course, is a landslide. If you didn't believe in miracles, you do now.
Right, 'cause
Kamala Harris has taken over the Democratic Party race for president of the United States. Still has not
mhm.
named the person. We all think that Buttigieg. I saw Carrie jumping up and down for Buttigieg. I think he likes her. He probably thinks he's anyway. I think he's cute too. He's got great blue eyes. It's very difficult to beat him in his gaze. So a gay white guy would be good with a open-minded black lady from San Francisco. Perfect. So Black Swan, and we talk about this in the movie. So what is a black swan? You know what the black swan is, Renee?
Well, we were talking about it a little bit, and I was saying to you that a black swan seems to be exotic and almost implausible. It's rare, it's special, it's precious, right? Beautiful, elegant, sophisticated. And then you were adding on to that, of course.
Well, it always comes in. In this case, we're talking about somebody completely unexpected comes in from
Right.
almost nowhere and changes the entire landscape of the thing. But and she, always the overnight successes are such that they were 35 years making them. So she's having her moment in time. We've seen this transformation. There's no chicken dick licker gonna be there, doing a dictatorship here. And everybody's up on it, okay? And then I don't know if you saw that silly thing I sent you about the retirement community in Florida.
Okay, which one is this one? Is it
Everybody's having a golf cart. Their whole town, and everybody has a golf cart in this town. It's like one of
yes.
these,
Is it called the Villages? Is it called the
the villages.
Villages?
Right, these
Village.
are
Yep.
villages, and they're all the ladies and all the dudes. Everybody's just breathing a sigh of relief. All those people who just couldn't speak up before, because when you're in the terror, it's very difficult to see the terror inside the terror. We were told that by the Hitler Book of Brown Terror. I sent that up on YouTube and TikTok and everything. Stuff that you gotta. Hopefully, those first 3 chapters will get your hair flying up and down. You'll be having to read through the whole thing. I don't think I necessarily need to put that much pressure anymore because the wind has broken, right? The things have changed over. We're not going back. We're going forward with more diversity, equity, equality, and inclusion, right? Right?
Yeah, we absolutely are, and that's one of the reasons why you see a Trump and his people freaking out, right? I mean, because
See, that's the
of the
thing. We don't
game
want.
changer.
You were saying that. Oh, you see,
Because of the game changer, yeah.
I caught David coaching the good thing. He was like, Matt had already come in. He took over because Oscar completely dropped the ball today. Didn't even show up. Forgot that we even had a thing. Okay. And so Matt pretty much had to run the whole show with you. And he didn't even know you were there because he was just busy working. He just kept his head down, did everything. So he had already left. And David's like, man, that guy Matt, I'm like, that's the thing. Coaching the great, catching the good stuff is where we want to be as a coach. I don't care how many times you mess up the throw in. What I like is the time you didn't mess it up. You got it right, In soccer, when we go to the game, if we just go to the flag instead of the goal, we can bring everything to our, we can control the whole game from that corner. But it's very difficult to not just go right to the goal. And you see, even at the high levels, they can't resist. But it's like, it's the direct approach. So what we're talking about, like Black Swan is somebody coming from what looks to be the side and coming in and coalescing, of course. And then, Kamala. So I like this one. Did you ever have this new one? We're going to be doing a new meme. It's a comma with la. For all of us dumbass people.
Well, that's what she said in her book, is she said, "Think of a comma, think of punctuation mark, comma,
Right.
blah,"
Yeah. Yeah.
because Trump has been deliberately mispronouncing her name. That's one of the things he's been doing, sort of to
Well, and now look, so Kamala. So Kamala. So Kamala, come from that name. Comes from that Siddhartha book. Siddhartha again. So here's a rich kid who goes down into, the belly of spirituality, gets really good at it, gets the top thing, and then, just comes out of that whole thing and needs to have some human connection and finds Kamala. She teaches him the art of connecting with another person. That's all I can say, to make it the least graphic way of saying it. Love with love, love without love, love for physical, and all the things in between. And then at the end, she became pregnant as he was leaving, as he needed to go and move forward. And they both agreed she was pregnant. Then she followed him down to the riverside. She was bitten by a snake and died that night. So he was left with an orphan son, and who hated him because it wasn't his mother. So that's an interesting story of Kamala and Siddhartha. So what he learned from that experience, so the humility of love with another person and the angst of love and letting go of a child because the son would have nothing to do with the father. As great a meditator as Siddhartha was, and as so much a holy man as he, I guess he never ascended to be anything more than just, a spiritually enlightened person. To find that way, to find the way of balance, the Tao, the way, the American way, the American Tao. The Tao is still the middle way. That's all it is. So, and I think Kamala is Kamala is really, she's right there. She's the mom. She's got this thing, and she knows what's going on. She's gonna tidy up the place, and we're gonna get back to law and order. Now the question is, do we trust her past that? And I say yes, give the job to a woman. Let's see what happens. I'll say, and I'm going to say this in my next meme is give the job to a woman. Let's seed what happens next and see if I'm not wrong. If we don't pull this thing together, if we can get to the election, if we can get the blue tsunami, if we can get MAGA out of our vestiges, we'll see. That's going to show us. So moving forward, my prediction is that if everything was equal today, Kamala Harris would be moving into a blue landslide victory come November. And I hope she takes Pete Buttigieg with her because he seems to be able to communicate easily with the media, both left and right, and seems to be able to do that. Together, they may be able to really straighten out because next to a woman, you want to go with a gay guy to get things organized. And, sometimes the people who do makeup and hair and makeup on like the RuPaul types are really organized. So I think we're going to all benefit. That's the thing. There's no downside to this slate of electors. So what do you think, Renee? Throw your hat in for the prediction, and let's just see how it unwinds in the next 100 days.
Yeah, I think, Pete has been doing a lot of talk shows. He's been doing a lot of meet and greets. Buttigieg, I'm talking about Pete Buttigieg. He's very intelligent. He's highly accomplished. He's somebody who's a good debater. So a lot of people are pushing him forward because he's going to be fantastic going against JD Vance in any sort of debate. So I say, let's see what happens. But I think he's the front runner right now. But this has been such a surprising season. At this point, nothing would surprise me. I mean, we had the rally with the attempted assassination
You're really
attempt,
in
and
that
then
place
Joe.
where nothing's going to surprise you?
What'd you say?
I said, you're really there when nothing surprises you?
I don't know because I'm so, what? I've been surprised so many times that now I can't be surprised. It's been
Okay,
such
well
a
then
crazy
that
election
tells me something
cycle.
though, because when you start talking like that, and you're just a regular folks, as far as I can tell, I'm pretty much a regular. Obviously, I'm obviously a regular Joe, but when I hear things like that, I feel like you are getting played by the media. Like that's what they want you to say. I'm just saying. I'm sorry. I just felt like it came out that way. And when
All
I
right,
hear
tell me
myself
why. Tell me why.
reading like the basic, like the common, like what the perception should be, that's when I get
Mhm.
worried and I'm thinking, okay, what is going on behind that whole thing? Right?
Right.
So I mean, you're not surprised, but you are surprised. Like, no, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me honestly to find out that this was a very calculated effort on the Biden Harris administration to wait till the last minute to just go ahead and wait for Trump to fall in his own shit and then
Mhm.
just stomp on him in his own duke for the rest of. But it's a little bit mean spirited, but it's how you do in politics. Evidently, it's how you do. I don't know. I mean, I don't really think that you're going to get the results you need from being the nice guy here. You've got to be you got to go up against fire. But so and now if Buttigieg is so good at being this kind of person, he should maybe stay in that place of spokesperson and not necessarily be because transportation is very important too, and he seems to be working on that, diligently as well as at the same time taking care of a couple of kids and an ex or husband. So, you know what I mean? Who else could do it? I don't know. Of the people that I'm seeing in the list, nobody seems to stand out as any kind of major charismatic person. Buttigieg is just doing it because he seems to be hitting these talk shows. I don't know. So, but we know I got a feeling. So we're gonna go for the blue tsunami. The question is, can we get enough in the House and Senate and everything to really do the things we need? And then will they make good on these promises is going to be the key. And we're going to see if they really, if it's just going to be game on, the same as usual, or we're really going to get some things done. Because honestly, if this upward spiral continues with the way Biden is going, and if she takes the baton and moves it forward, and we really get some of these reforms, we have to go back now. See, this is the interesting thing. Just putting things back the way they were before Trump is going to feel like an amazing, monumental accomplishment. Don't you think?
Yeah, I think you're right about that for sure. And I love how you talk so candidly and pragmatically about politics and reminding us all, we like these characters and all this stuff, but at the end of the day, they're politicians. Their job is to win. Their job is to get this stuff done. And so yeah, I mean, that's kind of the name of the game. And she's a
Well, and then
prosecutor.
the elephant in the room is always the Federal Reserve. Okay, so I mean, and then I think I just want to say this to you and to anybody else listening. I don't think if they just raised how many, like an astronomical amount of money, and they got a huge amount of outpouring. Do you think that my $10 contribution is going to really make a difference in this campaign? I'm asking you.
No, I personally don't think so.
Do you? I mean, I don't know if you give in that's up to you. It's totally your business. But I'm thinking, you know what? There's plenty. They don't need another dollar. I already know. Everybody knows who they're voting for. I mean, I'm not quite sure where they're spending. They're raising money for a war chest. Okay, they're not raising money so that at the end of this thing, when we get elected, we're going to give it all back to you in checks. Wouldn't that be something? Put the war chest back to the people. That would be something. Now that would be something. Hmm. And then what about Nasara law? Do you think it's, we're all now, see, now we're not going to talk about, but we're going to, now the Fed has been working together with the Democratic Party to organize the numbers to come out in such that the economy is never in the history of the world and the history of the world and the history of the world since China, since the beginning of dinosaurs, has the economy been so damn good, right? Okay, what else is, we got to put back the women's right to choose. Okay, that's going to feel like it was a big accomplishment. It was just going back to where we started. Okay, all this, going back to Obamacare again, or whatever, healthcare for everybody. That's just going back to where we were. And never has, Kamala said we're going to go back to the way it was before. She just says we got to fight. She didn't say what for, though. We're going to stand up. We're going to fight. We're going to stand up for democracy so that we can get her to go back and put things back the way they were before. Oh, what if we find out this is all scripted by the Bush Cheney administration anyway? It's all part of the game just to get more power. You see now? I mean, remember we put this thing up, DEI is the way, right? Diversity, equality, equality. Okay, this is really what you get from a so-called communist country. Diversity, equity, and equality and inclusion. I mean, you're included in getting a job done, or we'll find a job for you. What job you want? You know what I'm saying? Maybe that's the thing. There's not a lot of freedom, but people need something to do. The 5 elements of WholEarth are a place to sleep tonight, clean water, and food. That will give you what you need to develop your intellect so that you can do something for yourself and something for another human being. I mean, those are the things that we're trying to do. And if you need a government like communism to make that work for you, then, but maybe that's what it looks like. Socialism is like that. It works for that same goal. Democracy works for the benefit of usually a few corporations. It has, and then this last go round has gotten with chicken dick. It's been horrible. I mean, we've been gone right back to being the 99% and the 1%. So going back to that, going back to where we started. No one has said that yet, but I'm saying it. We need to go back to the way it was, and then we need to go and prove it now. So go back and don't forget about Nasara Law, and don't forget about Jubilee, and don't forget about if we do the debt reconsolidation, that would be something for the American people. That would be something just to get us started. National health care, I'm guessing education, child care, basic human, income. Everybody needs a place to sleep tonight. I'm not quite sure how you're going to get that going. If you decide you want to sleep outside, you should be given a safe place to camp. You should be shown to a nice, safe place to camp, and then we'll help you clean up. I'm not quite sure what the deal is with trash and being messy and all that. It's just something to do with the psychosis of the situation. But anyway, it's 45 minutes in. I just want to keep you for about half an hour, 15 minutes ago. So we're getting ready to wrap up. I just want to say thank you for another week of letting me share with you. We got a lot of things to talk about. I'm sure that next week things will be completely different. Renee says she's up for anything. I say just keep things pretty much the same.
That's right. So between the both of us, we'll keep people guessing, I think. I think we'll keep those people guessing.
Well, we're going to start getting into, the blow up dollhouse, and we're going to do some traveling and show it around and take it for a spin and see if we can't make it useful. I mean, I like one of them because it's easier to go up and down. The other one is a little bit more difficult, but we'll find out. We're going to probably go on a few overnights next week, starting next week. So that'll be fun. And together we will be behind the drums with Lance Charles and One WholEarth News and One WholEarth Game. And that's it for tonight.